In 2025, Nike posted its first revenue decline in over a decade. That's not a bad quarter. That's the end of an era. Sneaker brand revenue, 2014 to 2026. Every dollar. Every rank change. Every brand that rose while the giant stood still. Let's start in 2014. Nike is already at $27 billion, more than half the entire market at 51.2% share. Adidas sits at number 2 with $14 billion, which sounds impressive until you realize that's barely half of Nike. New Balance is third at $3 billion. Puma is fourth at $3 billion. Asics rounds out the top 5 at $2 billion. And then there's Skechers, a brand most serious runners weren't thinking about, sitting sixth at $2 billion. Two brands that will eventually shake everything up, Hoka and On, don't even appear on this chart yet. The market is orderly. It looks like nothing is going to change. By 2018, the top of the chart hasn't moved. Nike is at $36 billion. Adidas at $21 billion. But look at what's happening underneath. Skechers has jumped to third at $4 billion, leapfrogging New Balance. Puma holds fifth. And way down at the bottom of the rankings, two tiny bars appear for the first time. Hoka and On are both under $200 million combined. You'd barely notice them, but notice them anyway. 2020 is the last quiet year. What comes next changes the shape of the entire industry. Then came the pandemic. Gyms closed, races were canceled, and millions of people started running outside for the first time. The running boom of 2020 was one of the most powerful accidental marketing campaigns in the history of athletic footwear. By 2020, Hoka has gone from almost nothing to $350 million. On is right behind at $320 million. Neither is cracking the top 6 yet, but their growth rate is unlike anything else on this chart. Puma has surged to third at $5 billion, passing both Skechers and New Balance. Nike actually grows to $37 billion. The pandemic didn't hurt the giant. But Adidas drops to $19 billion, its worst performance in years. The running boom is real, and the brands built for running are accelerating. 2022 is where things get genuinely dramatic. Nike peaks at $46 billion, the highest the brand has ever been. Adidas is back up to $22 billion. Puma hits $8 billion, briefly holding third. But the real story is at the bottom of the chart. Hoka crosses $1 billion. On goes public at an $11 billion valuation and posts $1 billion in revenue. Two brands that had less than $200 million combined 4 years earlier are now each past $1 billion. That's not a trend. That's a structural shift. Hoka passing $1 billion isn't just a milestone for one brand. It's proof that premium performance running shoes could scale into mass market territory without losing their identity. On did the same thing in the same year. The playbook had been rewritten. Now let's talk about what happened to Adidas in 2023. The Yeezy partnership with Kanye West collapsed. Adidas was left holding hundreds of millions of dollars in unsellable inventory. Revenue dropped to $21 billion huaya, down from $22 billion the year before. Their market share fell to 29.5% in a contracted data set, and the brand spent the next 2 years clawing its way back. By 2024, they'd recovered to $23 billion. By 2025, $26 billion. By 2026, $28 billion. The comeback was real, but it cost them years. By 2024 and into 2025, the chart looks nothing like 2014. Nike is still number one at $51 billion, but its share has dropped from 51% to 44%. Skechers is third at $9 billion. New Balance is closing in fast at $8 billion. up from $3 billion a decade earlier. Puma holds fourth at $9 billion. Hoka and On have both crossed $2 billion. And then in 2025, it happens. Nike's revenue goes flat and its share slides below 44%. For the first time in over a decade, Nike is not growing. Nike's 2025 revenue didn't collapse, it just stopped growing. But in a market that was still expanding, standing still meant losing ground. Their share dropped to 44.3%. Every brand below them was accelerating. That's the slow version of falling. By 2026, the final shape of this era comes into view. Nike is at $48 billion, actually down from its peak. Its share has fallen to 40.3%. Adidas is at $28 billion and growing faster than Nike for the first time in years. Skechers hits $9 billion. New Balance reaches $9 billion, nearly triple what it was in 2014. Hoka is at $3 billion. On is at $3 billion. Brooks, the marathon specialist that almost nobody talks about, is quietly at $1 billion. The brands that understood the running boom, that built for performance and let identity follow, are the ones that won this decade. New Balance went from $3 billion in 2014 to $9 billion in 2026, almost tripling revenue without a single mega celebrity endorsement deal or viral product drop. They just made shoes people wanted to wear. Sometimes the boring story is the most interesting one. Here's what this data set is really telling us. Nike's dominance was never about making the best running shoe. It was about making the most culturally relevant one. The moment that stopped being enough, the market started fragmenting. Hoka and On proved that performance could be a brand identity. New Balance proved that heritage could be one too. Adidas proved that even a near-catastrophic crisis could be survived with the right product pipeline. And Nike? Nike still has 40% of this market. The fall from dominance, if it's coming, is going to be slow and expensive and fascinating to watch. Subscribe if you want to see where it goes next.